Of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco, and if you're thirsty for news, politics, and all you ever wanted to know about the markets and cryptocurrency, sit right back, pour yourself a drink, because we're coming to you as we do every day live from the Question Tequila Studios. We'll be having a cold one in a little bit. Hope you'll join us, and we have a hot show for you today. Coming to you from Newsmax headquarters, high atop Midtown Manhattan. And as we speak, the Dow is still taking it on the chin just a bit today, down 130 points in triple digits. Not great news. Everyone's hanging around waiting to see what the Fed is going to do with interest rates. I think there's, as I mentioned yesterday, probably a 25 basis point cut to rates, hopefully a 50 basis point cut. 25 will keep things good, maybe go up a little bit. 50, we'll put it on a rocket. And Bitcoin just above 10,000 again. I want to see it hold that range, hopefully until the weekend. Up about $600 today at 10,300. And all great things are happening today. We're going to mix it up with David Eisenbach and John Burnett, the managing director of Empire One Group. We're going to have Scotty Lebedo, the patriotic artist, talking about everything that's going on with the desecration of our flag out there. And joining me, as always, the man who never desecrates a flag.
That's right.
Managing editor of Liquid Lunch, Frank Morano. Frankie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. If you're on the East Coast, for everybody else in the country, good morning.
Good morning.
But yes, I've desecrated a couple of martini glasses from time to time, but never a flag.
So,
new glasses, I see.
I'm trying out some different styles. Yeah. You know, my daughters were on yesterday, and they said the ones I had on yesterday look ridiculous.
Yes, that's why.
So today I borrowed these from our makeup artist, Miss Sarah Chester, and I'm trying them out. What do you think? You like them?
You know what? I don't, in all candor. I think, unless you're wearing spectacles to improve your vision.
Well, I am. When I see, they're not for long distance, but when I read this notes that you gave me here, they work very well for me. So things are good. You know, last night, I belong to a bocce league.
Absolutely.
And I play bocce ball during the week down at Angelina's Restaurante.
Bocce is the new golf.
It is the new golf, second fastest growing sport. And believe it or not, Frank, the name of my team is Make Bocce Great Again.
Is that right?
That's right. Huh. That's actually the name of my team.
Wow.
There's the schedule for the league. It's a screenshot of that is passed out to all the teams just before to tell you who you're playing against, but you can see right on the bottom. My team is Make Bocce Great Again. And you're not going to believe this, but, you know, Donald Trump is at war with everyone, fighting with the squad and everything else, but you haven't heard much about Melania, okay?
That's true.
And believe it or not, last night, Melania came to my bocce tournament.
Oh, please. You're right.
I'm telling you, she came last night. She did a special appearance in Staten Island, New York, one of the top Trump country. You know she, okay.
Yeah.
She actually did a little ceremonial ball throw with me, and take a look at that.
Oh,
so
well,
there you go.
Look at that.
Well, you take a look at that.
Well, great form on the
First lady was fantastic.
Look at the way she handles that Polino.
Team loved it, and she really could roll a bocce ball. I can tell you that.
Well,
and,
that's impressive.
Amongst all the other great things she's doing as the most beautiful first lady ever, she's also a great bocce baller, and she's helping the country and the president make America great again. And last night she helped make bocce great again.
Well, hey, maybe that's something that we can do to temper down tensions with Iran a little bit, is have some international bocce. I was home.
You know, we'll send like John Bolton and Mike Pompeo over there to play a little bocce against the
Zarif,
two of the mullahs or something like that.
But I was home and I watched The Hudsucker Proxy because my fiance had never seen the film, and my future brother-in-law was over. And I'll be damned if I'm going to marry a woman who has never seen the film The Hudsucker Proxy, because for kids.
I think you mean you'll be darned.
Yeah, well, you're probably right either way.
Something like that.
But the situation in Iran is one of the many stories making news, and one of the many stories that I'm speaking frankly about. Iran says it has a foreign tanker Revolutionary Guards forces seized in the Persian Gulf. Iranian state TV said today that Iran is holding the ship and 12 crew members. It accuses them of smuggling oil. The report says the ship was taking fuel from Iranian smugglers to foreign customers when it was seized in the Strait of Hormuz. There's been no confirmation on where the crew is from. The Democratic National Committee is sending a security alert to its presidential candidates, warning them not to use FaceApp. The popular smartphone app has been trending lately, and yesterday the DNC's security chief sent an alert saying FaceApp was developed by Russians and said that they have significant concerns about it. Senator Rand Paul is objecting to fast-tracking a bill that would provide health care to September 11th attack first responders who became sick. The bill had overwhelmingly passed in a bipartisan House vote. Rand Paul said, though, that he wants a debate on the bill because it includes new spending with nothing to offset the costs. He pointed to the nation's $22 trillion debt. And finally, a sexual assault case against actor Kevin Spacey is being tossed out. The decision was announced yesterday, with prosecutors saying the complaining witness was no longer available or willing to testify. The man was 18 years old when he alleges that Spacey fondled him during a night of drinking at a Massachusetts bar in 2016.
Why is this Kevin Spacey thing still in the news?
Well, because the charges were dismissed. Look, Kevin Spacey has done so many great parts, including many political parts. You know, he played President Nixon in the movie When Elvis Meets Nixon, played President Frank Underwood. He played Jack Abramoff in the Casino Jack, I think was the name of the film. So, look, the 18-year-old kid said he was fondled in a bar, and apparently he's unable or unwilling to testify publicly, so those charges are dismissed. Maybe we'll see a season 6 of House of Cards after all.
So you think Frank Underwood may come back from the dead now that Kevin Spacey's allegations of fondling are
it's funny,
behind us?
that video clip that you just saw there, that's from a video that Kevin Spacey made to rebut these charges as Frank Underwood. So understand it was very, very bizarre. So he actually went into character to tweet out a video of him in character as a fictional character to rebut real life charges. It'd be like if OJ went into character as Nordberg from the Naked Gun movies to proclaim his innocence. It was very weird.
Roger Stone was just prohibited from any sort of Twitter, any sort of social media interactions. I wonder if Roger Stone can go into another character to go on Twitter.
Well, so that's quite a question. So Roger,
what if he identifies as Mrs. Roger Stone?
Well, Nydia is not much of a tweeter, but so Roger was already banned from Twitter by Twitter. But now the judge in his case, I believe it's Judge Amy Jackson or Judge Amy Berman, she's decided he's now banned from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So he might be the first person in history doubly banned from Twitter, once by Twitter itself and once by a federal judge. So that's an accomplishment.
This is this deplatforming stuff we've been talking about. And Roger, you know, he's one of the only people still caught up facing trial over being caught up in the whole Trump collusion scandal that Robert Mueller and everyone else have now agreed that no American participated. But we'll see. And we're fighting for Roger whenever we can. And it's a fight for all of us when people are unfairly prosecuted because of their political leanings. Things get scary. And now people are getting knocked off of Facebook and Instagram. And, you know, do we ever hear, Frank, you know about all this stuff, but do we ever hear about a really left-wing person spewing hate being deplatformed?
Well, I think they finally did deplatform Louis Farrakhan after everybody was pointing to all his calling Jews termites and
cockroaches.
All sorts of crazy stuff. So they finally, I believe, did deplatform Farrakhan after a lot of protests. But you're right, there certainly seems to be a big dichotomy. And that's one of the things the Senate is looking into. Speaking of the Senate, Rand Paul, quite a villain in New York City today because of his role in stopping this 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. What's your take on this whole situation?
I think the guy's an idiot, quite frankly. I mean, you can't find a worse political area than to go against extending the Victims Compensation Fund for first responders and people in the area who were misled by our own government and said it was safe. And now people are dying day after day and coming up with ailments that are being traced back to poor air quality around ground zero. And I just don't even know why. I mean, basically, New York is so democratic that if Rand Paul ever wants to run for president or anything, he knows he's never going to win New York. So I guess, somewhere out there, he doesn't care. He just wants to look like, he cares about the deficit. But cut other places, Rand. And I've been a supporter of Rand and his father. Find other places to cut and leave the Victims' Compensation Fund alone.
Well, and I think that's where you're speaking for a lot of New Yorkers. But
yeah.
Rand Paul was on the golf course with President Trump the other day, and he's asking to be made the United States special envoy to Iran. So now Iran is saying they've seized its tanker. They're demanding the return of one of their tankers from Great Britain. I tell you, John, it looks like things are headed into a pretty perilous direction in terms of our situation with Iran. What's your take on it?
I mean, I think Trump basically made a smart move last time, thanks to, some people say Tucker Carlson. But he made a smart move. He rejected the hawks like Bolton. I don't know that we want to send Rand Paul over there. But I think he set the stage for some sort of dialogue. And as long as, the Iranians don't think they're going to get another $150 billion from Joe Biden next year, if he gets elected, maybe they'll come to the table with some group and figure it out. We got to get more details on this tanker, but it doesn't sound good. For those of you who know your geography, you got the Strait of Hormuz there that is right on the shoreline of Iran, and it's a very narrow passageway that America and others have that's like the bottleneck to get natural resource and oil in and out of the Middle East. And Iran, has that as a pressure point. And every time they cause a ruckus in that area, it kind of destabilizes the whole geopolitical scene.
Well, and one piece of breaking news before we get to the politics panel is right before our show, we learned that Jeffrey Epstein, the financier, convicted pedophile who's now charged once again with more crimes having to do with sex trafficking of minors, will not be getting bail. So this is pretty big.
Hallelujah.
He is going to have to remain in federal jail until he goes on trial, unless, at least for now, unless they could work out something else. But he's going to remain in jail. He's not going to be under house arrest at his multi-million-dollar penthouse here in New York City. He's going to remain in jail. And whether he's at the MDC or the MCC here in New York, I can assure viewers watching around the country, neither one of those prisons is any sort of a picnic.
No, that's no party. And from what we're hearing, he may get some real high-profile defense. We're looking into it, we're doing our investigations on that, but we'll let you know. And as we mentioned yesterday, El Chapo sentenced to life plus 40 years or
life
something
in prison.
like
It was a mandatory
that.
minimum.
Mandatory.
Of life
Maybe
in prison,
Epstein will get something like that. You know what I mean? If the allegations prove to be true, that he did these things with young kids, I mean, the guy should go away for a long time. That's just my view. You do not go away for a long time. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back Republican, Democrat. We're going to mix it up with John Burnett, David Eisenbach. You're watching Liquid Lunch. Stay right there.